Welcome back, everybody. This is Chris Baker, the host of the podcast Tell Me Your Story, and today's special guest is Allen Pollack. Is that correct?
Pollock, but yeah,
Pollack.
close enough. It
Okay.
doesn't matter.
We're just gonna jump into this like we always do. We're gonna start off with the question is where does life begin for you? Where does it take off?
Well, my earliest memories are of living with my grandparents, and I've got a lot of really great memories with them. However, I do have one extremely bad memory with my grandparents. I was in the first grade and I did something stupid, as all kids do. School called, my grandfather took me home, and when I got home, he slapped me to the ground and actually kicked me in the stomach while I was, down on the ground. Um, so that was kind of the start of my life. Other than that, I had a fairly good childhood up until the age of 10. At 10 years old,
Hold on,
my
let
father
me
told me
step in here real quick. So your father, like, what happened exactly? Can you kind of explain that a little bit more?
with my grandfather or my father.
Your grandfather kicking you?
Yes, so he's got a temper problem, always has, but he just something snapped and like I said, I was in the first grade and I remember him slapping me hard enough that I fell to the ground and he just kicked me a few times while I was on the ground out of a fit of rage. Um, After that, my grandmother flipped out on him. He sought counseling. um, Nothing ever happened with the law. I don't believe it was ever fully reported. My grandfather, to this day, feels absolutely terrible about it. Absolutely terrible about it. And I have a very great relationship with him to this day. I understand we make mistakes. We are humans after all. Um, but the real issue I have, and the long, dark story is of my father. Um, so that was the only incident I had with my grandfather. And my father at 10 years old told me, "Hey, I see all my friends raising their kids. I want to be a dad. I want to raise you. I want to spend time with you." All right, you know what? I'll give this a shot. I love it here with my grandparents. They take me and do stuff with me. They're doing a good job raising me. I've got all my friends, but you know what? I'll give you a shot, Dad. Yeah, I'll come live with you. Well, things went all right at first until one day I was doing dishes and he came up and he checked the dishes, looked at the crock pot, and showed me the crock pot. He goes, "Does this look clean to you?" There's a little bit of food left in it, stuck to the side. No, it doesn't look clean. He smashed it over my head.
Just because it wasn't fully cleaned?
Yes, it was smashed over my head, broke it completely.
Now, was it just a temper? Was he drinking? What was
He was not drunk at that time. So he was never abusive when he was drunk. But he did drink. Uh, he had a temper problem. But I think the real issue was a psychological one. Um, I took psychological classes in high school for a little bit, and one of the things is that after thinking back and continuing to watch his behavioral pattern, he fits the definition of a sociopath. Not only does he fit the definition of a sociopath, but he is also narcissistic and egotistical. The world revolves around him, and if things don't fall perfectly into place, it upsets him. He's also a womanizer and someone that will tell you whatever you want to hear as long as it makes him look good. He also likes to do things in front of other people as long as it makes him look good. He is very, very much about his image.
and that's what I was gonna ask you. Was your mom in the picture at all, or
No, my parents split up when I was very, very young, to the point that my sister, who is 2 years younger than me, is my half sister. And my brother is also my half brother. So no, my mom and my dad weren't not together. Somehow my mom lost custody. My grandparents claimed that I was being abused on that side. My mom and her side of the family say otherwise. I have no memory. I I can't tell. My mom and them just said your grandparents wanted custody of you, and they went to court and threw money at it until I couldn't fight it anymore. That's what my mom says. Grandparents say I was abused. I don't know.
Now, my real question for you is, you started with your grandfather. He kicked you and he did stuff to you. Your dad did
Mhm.
it. Now,
Oh, my dad. We can go long with my dad.
now has
Trust me,
has
it
it
goes
like
far.
as you're at that age now? Have you ever felt any rage built up inside you?
Um, yes, I have a lot of residual anger. However, the fun part is though, as angry as I am inside, all my friends describe me as being very happy and bubbly. If I'm not cracking jokes and smiling and being the light of the party, they know something's wrong with me. Um, I don't let all that stuff get to me. And that's kind of the moral to the story when I'm done here is that no matter what, and I try and tell people this, no matter what you go through, you have to put one foot in front of the other. When a fish stops swimming, it dies. When a person stops moving, they will die. See, if you stay in the past, you won't be able to see the present, which is a gift because every moment that you get to experience is a gift, whether it's good or not. You are experiencing something. So, if you're staying in the past, you don't get to see the gift of the present in front of you, and you'll never have a future. So, you have to live in the present, remember the past, and look forward to the future. Um,
Very well said. Very well said.
it's just, yes, I do have a lot of anger. And I'm working through that. Every day is a different day. Um, some things set me off. I legitimately have PTSD. Earlier in the year, I was at work and something happened that someone said something to me. And next thing I knew, I'm thinking back to my father physically spitting in my face because I didn't like doing schoolwork. And he said, I'm tired of you walking all over me and shitting on me. And then he hocked a loogie in my face. So that brought up that memory. And I just got so angry at work that it became a struggle to stay for the last hour. And by the time I got home, I fell on the ground crying just right in front of the door. I was just it bothers me that because I'm a father. All right. I've got a kid now. One thing I struggle to understand, how can someone have the emotions towards another being that I do towards my child and want to hurt that person? I just there's no explanation for it to me. Um, if you want the abbreviated version, I've had guns to my head, knives in my throat. I've been hit in the head with a set of keys, a hammer, punched in the gut more times than I can count. My dad didn't abuse me, Chris. My dad tortured me. One day, I was riding the vehicle with him. And I said, Dad, sometimes I feel like you look for a reason to beat me. He goes, You're right. I do. Shocked the hell out of me at 13 years old, but I kind of knew it. Um, and all the abuse was just because I didn't like doing schoolwork. I'm a teenager. You give me the work at school, I'll knock it out. I'm smart. Always was. Uh, but when I got home, that was my time. So I didn't like doing schoolwork. Lied about it. Whatever. What kid doesn't? Um, I don't think I deserve what I got from him because of it. Um, hard having a conversation with him about that nowadays because he doesn't even like to face me about the truth, and that's the real problem I have is that he won't face the truth of what he did. Things like I'd be sitting in my room reading a book, Chris, on a Saturday, all right, doing nothing. I'd hear my BB gun being cocked. He would come into my room, shoot me with my BB gun, cock it again, and tell me that I had to find the BB in the carpet, otherwise he was going to shoot me again.
And now, I mean, this is kind of like, I know, like it hit you. It's like it's still with you to this day. And it,
Oh God,
what
yes.
would your advice be to somebody that's listening right now? How do you handle it? Like when you kind of start going back to that period, what brings you back to the
Um,
present?
breathing. Honestly, I gotta think through it. I've got to stay grounded. The hardest part for me when I'm going through my emotions and I'm having what would be like a PTSD flare up is I've got to stop myself from getting angry because my immediate thing to go to is I want to destroy everything in front of me. I would just want to break stuff. I want to hurt things. And mentally I go into a place to where repeatedly I'm killing my father in different situations. And it's very please people work through these emotions. That is not a healthy emotion for me to have. It really isn't. I'm not a violent person. It's just though I have so much anger that when someone else that's supposed to love you says, I want to watch the light fade from your eyes as they have your arms pinned down with their knees and a steak knife is to your throat, that it touches your soul. Your very soul gets impacted at that point. Um, so the best thing I can do say is find someone that will talk to you, that will hear what you went through, because I tend to bottle things up. And when you bottle things up and then you start shaking that bottle and moving around as you're going through life, it starts to build pressure. And if you don't unscrew that cap every now and then and let some of that pressure out, it's going to explode and you're going to have a mess. So, the thing that I do a lot is I just find someone, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I went through. I don't understand it, and the response I get, and I've talked to mental professionals, is that's fucked up. I went and saw an anger management counselor once because I had an incident at work where I had put on my girlfriend's clothes at the time, and it was funny because they were really tight on me, and I felt like the Hulk. It was funny. Well, someone at work found it and started showing people at work. Everyone had a laugh. Cool. I don't have a problem. It was funny. Have your laugh. But I was bullied from kindergarten until the day I graduated. When you walk 30 feet out of your way to continue having a laugh 20 minutes later, now you're bullying me, and I've got a problem with that. So I let him know that I was going to desecrate his skull from the hole I put in the back of it while I waited for the police. He proceeded to pull out a knife, offered it to me, and stuck out his throat. I threw the knife to the ground, tried to go back to welding. That's when he wanted to try and get physical with me. Well, supervisors intervened at that point. We both went, got anger management. We talked it out. It's like, hey, dude,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
anyway, but it was like, hey, dude, you took it a little too far. He's like, yeah, I understand I may have. I just, as soon as I get threatened, I take it a different way. And it's like, I had to stand up for myself, dude. So, I went through anger management, and after telling my counselor my life story, she said, I've heard some fucked up stories in my time. And that's up there as one of the most fucked up stories. She was actually surprised that I go through life unmedicated and, function as an adult, which I struggle sometimes, whatever. I have ADHD and I've got a hard life. After escaping the abuse from my dad, which went on for about 4 years of my life, there's more, but I'd rather not. Yeah, I'm sure viewers get the picture of the horrors that I went through with him. So, my mom got custody of me because I told my dad, "Look, you sign over custody, we'll drop all charges. I just want this to be over with. I want to be guaranteed that I'm away from you." Um, and if you are being abused, please go talk to someone, get help. Um, CPS did get involved one time, but they came to the house while he was home and sat me down across from him. No. So if you're in a situation to where you're being abused, whether you're a child, teenager, adult, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you are being abused, go seek help, go talk to someone. Make sure that you are removed from your abuser while you are doing it. Because if your abuser's around, you're not going to tell your story. You're not going to be truthful. So you need to make sure you're getting help if you're being abused. Um, so my dad signed over custody of my mom, whatever. My mom, however, worked a lot and started getting into cocaine in order to help her stay up later at work. Well, that started getting into heavier and heavier use and probably into other drugs as the time progressed. My mom was wealthy by no means, so I went from middle class living to really bottom barrel American living. So I mean, I've kind of seen all three lifestyles. I've seen upper middle, I've seen true middle class, and I've seen our lower class and how the lower class lives. So it's kind of given me a true appreciation for all walks of life, and it's given me an understanding of where our country truly sits. Um, so when I was in high school, it was after my time at Sandusky High School with you. I was at Perkins High School, and the one thing that to this day really messes me up, man, more than the abuse of my father, it was my junior year of high school, and my brother left the house one day to go rollerblading with his friends at a park, but he didn't say he was going to be rollerblading. None of us knew he had his rollerblades with him, and on his way home, he was hit from behind by a car and subsequently died. Um, Amazing part of that, though, really amazing part. The night my brother was in the hospital, I was sleeping. It was before they declared him brain dead. And all of a sudden, Chris, everything was white, just pure white. And my brother was sitting across from me. And I looked over. You're going to die, aren't you? Yeah, no sadness. No sadness at all. It was just very matter of fact. I got to say my last goodbye. Um, to this day, I never dealt with those emotions because my entire family broke apart. He was a 13-year-old kid, and so I was there when everyone in my family leaned to me, so that way, you know, at least everyone had someone that wasn't breaking down. So that was hard to go through. Um, Other than that, um, a lot of crappy adult relationships in my life. A lot of really toxic women.
But
Believe it or not, women can be toxic as well as men.
I want to step in just for a second.
Go for it.
Going back to your brother, and I know it's hard to talk about, him being in that room. But when it got all white to you, did you? Because I've talked to other people about this. The final stage when you cross over.
hmm
Did you feel a sense of peace at all, or can you?
Oh yes, I very much. It was a very calming environment. It really it felt very spiritual. It was unlike anything I've experienced even to this day, and there's a part of my life that I would like to go into, uh, involving spirituality because I've spent the last several years of my life, seeking out spirituality. But yes, I my brother was not sad. He was not worried. He was very, very calm, almost happy, to be real. He was almost happy. When I said, "You're gonna die, aren't you?" It was literally, "Yeah,
And it was just a sense of peace. And
yeah,
you knew yourself that he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be all right.
yeah, yes." Um, so I spent a good I don't know, I believe you're, of the Christian denomination
Yes.
or faith? So, I spent a long time of my life being a Christian, um, and it's just I had some weird experiences that I couldn't explain, and, I stuck for a very long time to the Christian faith until one day I decided to experiment with, LSD. And the reason I wanted to, and I did a lot of research. Please never, never, never do anything or put something into your body that you don't understand. Okay. So here's what I did before I ever touched a psychedelic substance other than marijuana. Um, what is this going to do to me? What is it going to do to my body? What's it going to do to my mental state? What am I going to experience? How long is this going to last? If I need to, how do I end this? Can I end it? It's just I looked up as much information as I could, including reading other people's what they call trip reports, and those can be found on Reddit and other things. It's almost as good as doing the substance itself. You hear these wild, crazy experiences that people have had under these substances, and I went out, I got a lot of information about it. And the thing that, drew me to psychedelics, and thankfully it wasn't hard drugs because I grew up with a family that was on hard drugs. No. For a long time, I went to school for criminal justice actually in high school. So I was very anti drug. However, Hollywood has always painted psychedelics in a different light. So I kind of went, well, this is something I want to experience at least sometime in my life.
Let me jump in
So,
real quick. As
mhm.
you're about to experience this, I know you're probably about to get into this, but as you're about to experience this, was there any like doubt in your mind that you were afraid that you were gonna possibly fall into the family trend and get addicted to it? Were you kind of
um,
nervous about it?
I was extremely nervous about the substance itself. As far as the addiction goes, no, I was not nervous about that at all because psychedelics actually have anti-addictive properties to where the more you take them in the shorter period of time, like let's say someone was addicted to Coke. You start out, maybe you do a couple lines on the weekend. Next thing you know, you're doing a line on Wednesday. Next thing you know, you're doing a line every night, and then you're doing 2 lines every night. Whereas psychedelics, the more you use them, the less effect that they actually have on you. There's some very, very famous people. I suggest you actually listen to them a little bit in your spare time. Great, great speakers. Terrence McKenna and Timothy Leary. Timothy Leary was actually a psychiatrist. Terrence McKenna was what we call a psychonaut, basically, and he delved within the spiritual aspects of mankind and of his own subconscious under the influence and help of some of these substances. And they both very much say that these are not party substances. These are tools for the humankind. Um, And so I've listened to a little bit of what they had to say, whether it be LSD, mushrooms, or my absolute favorite substance, which um, exists within every living thing, Chris. Every single living thing on this planet contains small amounts of the molecule known as dimethyltryptamine. They have dubbed it as the spirit molecule or the God particle. It's just it's the most potent psychedelic known to mankind, and it does deserve respect. Um, I mean, I respect this substance the way you would respect your pastor, if not even more so, because it's so powerful and the experience. It is a spiritual substance. This is not a party thing, you know. And it was a while before I touched DMT because that was one I was terrified of. Even after having done it several times, I am still absolutely terrified of it, Chris. Um, so anyway, I did a lot of research making sure that I was not going to end up like my family. I made sure that I was going to be safe, that I was going to be okay, that I was not going to be addicted. I understood what it was going to do to my body, what it's going to do to my mental state. I went into this with as much knowledge on this substance as I could gain, which I recommend to everyone before you do anything to your body. You have to be safe because your friend can tell you, hey, this is cool, you'll be great. Next thing you know, you're dead. You're getting to experience the afterlife. So please do your research. And another thing, there are test kits out there if you're going to experiment. Test what you have. Be safe. Don't trust random people. Um, but as far as the experience goes, at first, I used it at a party. It was really wild. And one day I was sitting there in my bed. I had to work the next day, so I made a bad decision. I did kind of take psychedelics and run with them. I had
No.
a very, very heavy use period. As you would say that, um, and many people were worried about it. I've since stopped. I haven't touched anything since uh, middle of summer. I've been offered plenty of substances free, and I'm not in the mental state for it. I'm not. These are my spiritual tools. These are not for me to party with, and I understand that now. But I used them to party with in the beginning until one day I just, you know, Alan, you know how big this universe is, right? Yes, I do know. It's like, do you realize how small you are? Earth, Earth revolves around sun, sun's revolving around galaxy. Galaxy is just a number of practically infinite galaxies. I am I am as small to the sun as a grain of sand is to me, if not smaller. And that sun is the size of an atom compared to our galaxy. What's our galaxy compared to the size of the universe? So, I started questioning things, and with my psychedelics, I started looking more into some of the stuff that the native tribes of like the Amazon rainforest and things like that, specifically the ayahuasca plant, which is known as the sensitive plant or the sensitive vine. And what's done with ayahuasca is it's made into a brew, and under shamanic rituals, people go through these experiences, and many of these experiences are not of tripping. A lot of them are very healing to where people describe puking or shitting out their demons and everything else. And a lot of them have trips that correlate to their past traumas, and a lot of them are very healing. Now, the other side of that, though, is there are spirits or entities that people claim to meet. They're called machine elves, is what they've basically been called culturally now. And then other people, there are entities that people on DMT, if you smoke DMT, you have a chance of encountering entities. And the crazy part is, many different people have encountered the same entities. So my question here is, if this is all just in my head and on a drug, how are several different people that have no knowledge of each other, no knowledge of what they're about to experience, never looked into it, how are they all meeting this or seeing the same thing?
Exactly.
Um, and it's not the exact same thing. And we'll get more into DMT here in a minute and why I love it. Um, so mushrooms after LSD was the next psychedelic I tried. No, actually, I did try a hit of DMT once. One time, just a small hit, and time seemed to speed up and slow down at the same time. I closed my eyes, and it seemed like black and white were kind of colliding. Kind of trippy, a little cool. All right, that was wild. Tried mushrooms though, and mushrooms is where the healing started. I love mushrooms as well. I've actually got a mushroom blanket with all the psychedelic mushrooms on it. Um, but mushrooms, um, I took mushrooms one time and my cousin came over and he started to freak out because we didn't have more mushrooms for him and, he wasn't going to trip with us and everything else. Well, consciously, I started noticing something. I saw that he was having a bad time, but he was causing himself to have a bad time, Chris. With his own mental thought process, he was causing himself to freak out and have a bad time. And I went, Alan, you do this. You cause yourself problems and stress that you don't need to with your own thought pattern and with your own thoughts. You need to change your thoughts and look at things differently, and you'll start to have a better time a lot more of the time. And so I've started implementing this. And when I get irritated about something now, I try to look at it at a different light and, try not to let it bother me so much. Um, it's helped heal me a little bit with my father. I had a conversation with God, or what I would call God is the universe, which honestly I think is fitting if he's omnipotent and everywhere. Um,
But
what you might call God?
wait,
Yes.
before we get to there, I mean, what's your experience with, like how you were telling your friend that instead of focus on negative, think on the positive, and that kind of
Yes.
that's kind of starting to get us into the law of attraction in a way. I don't know if you're hip to that at all, but
Yes. Yes, I am actually.
that's me just stepping into that feeling.
Yes. So I went from hardcore right-wing conservative Christian to basically a hippie. And it's crazy. But the stuff it works and it makes sense. It makes so much sense society-wise. Um the most powerful thing out there in the universe, Chris, it is not a nuclear warhead. It's not a black hole. The most powerful force out there in the entire universe, stronger than gravity, love. Love is the strongest thing
Preach it, man.
in this universe.
Preach it.
Um, when my daughter was born, I just I felt a wave of love like no other. I mean, to the point to where I was crying and I hugged the doctor, and it's like, okay. It's like I've loved women and I love my family, but I love this creature. Like,
Even in this moment,
it was just
as you're speaking about it, you're feeling it too.
yeah,
You're
it's
reliving that
I'm
moment.
telling you, dude, it's unbelievable. The amount of care that you can have for another living soul is unreal, you know. Um, so back to universe and God and everything, it's like I've had conversations with it, and it's Um, he sat me down. He's like, "Look, I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. You were there, and I'm so sorry you got hurt. That wasn't my intention. I'm and I felt love, and the universe had a conversation with me about something. It's like, yes, psychedelics are like magic. All right, um, and it's a hidden world. And once you discover it, there's so many doors of possibilities open to you. But these are tools, and you can hurt yourself with these tools as well as help yourself. So you do have to be careful with that. Because the psychedelics, me and the universe, God, whatever, we were walking, and I physical me, I was laying in my bed. Okay, I was upstairs in a dark room, laying in my bed, safe and sound. Um, but mentally, me and this being, which I never saw the being, but I felt their presence with me. Um, when I heard their voice, I didn't hear an audible voice like you would think. It was my own thought in my head, but it wasn't my conscious thought. So it was the way it felt. It was I was having a conversation in my head with myself, but I would respond consciously, and then another thought would just boom. Here's the thought.
So it'd be your
Um,
conscious and then your subconscious kind of answering, I guess.
Yes. Basically, if you wanna see it that way, it's my, subconscious taking over, and replying.
That way, if anybody's listening right now, they kind of understand a little bit better.
Yes, yes, it's like, conscious thought talking to subconscious thought. And, so we were just walking along, he's like, "Look, I don't mind if you do the psychedelics. I really don't. It's cool, but you gotta have your shit in order." "What do you mean?" "Dude, you're not good financially, you're not good mentally, you need to and you're not good physically. You need to put yourself in a state of being to where in the material realm everything's taken care of so you can come play in the astral realm and learn." So right now, I finally decided to listen, and I'm taking a break from things, and I'm getting my stuff in order. I'm getting myself where I need to be before I can start reaching that aspect. However, we're going to get deeper into more of what I personally need to do for my spiritual self and spiritual growth. So, meditation, it's something that I've known I need to do for a long time. It wasn't until I had one of the most mind-blowing experiences in my entire life, Chris. And what happened was I found out about a substance called 1P LSD. And it's a gray area of legality in the United States. It is one molecule different than lysergic acid diethylamine 25, which is your regular LSD that you think of that Albert Hofmann synthesized in the 60s. He also synthesized 1P LSD. Just LSD 25 took off in popularity. So I did some research on 1P LSD, and I found a website. All right, $50. If it doesn't work out, whatever, I'm out 50 bucks. And also, I did my research on the laws to make sure that within my local area standards, I did not break laws by ordering the substance. Where I broke the law was by taking the substance, which was not for human consumption, in a non-lab environment. But personal choice, this is America. I'm an American above all else. Any um so anyway, so I ordered the substance. Now, around this time, a cousin of mine had some DMT. I usually listen to a certain type of music while I ingest DMT.
And what kind of
Um,
music is that?
it is fungal. It's called Museum of Consciousness.
Easy
And it's
going.
really easy going. I like the beats. It's extremely psychedelic. It's wild. I like it. I really like it. Um, and so I just one night I'm like, and it was the night that I found the one PLC and decided to order it. All right, the same night. I find this thing and it says like 417 hertz, negative energy, ohm. Went into this completely blind, Chris. It gets trippy. All right. And it's a picture of a monk sitting on top of a mountain overlooking a village. And it's just Om Ding. And so, you know, I'm like, all right, this is relaxing. This is very peaceful. I kinda want to listen to this next time I smoke DMT. So, um 7 days later, I get a letter in the mail from the Netherlands.
Hmm.
I open it up. It's the one PLC that I ordered. All right, cool, cool. This is a Tuesday. I put it away. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm at work and some friends get a hold of me. And they're like, "Hey man, we're gonna game later. Do you want to come by and game with us?" All right, yeah, yeah, I'll game. So still wasn't gonna do it until they said we're gonna play this specific game, which is one we always play while tripping. All right, you know what? I guess I'll take it and try it out. So I take the acid and go over. I hang out with my friends for a bit. And we have a good time. My buddy asks if I want to go back to his place and smoke some DMT. All right, yeah, yeah. So on the way to his place, he's telling me about the game that we've been playing that he created. And it's basically a whole bunch of symbolism going around basically getting friends to play together. We just happen to take it and on site we try and kill each other because whatever, we're tripping, we're having fun. But there was a lot of symbolism there. Like there were two geese and a lynx that we could never find. And what it was there was always two of us that were together, and then one of us was always off somewhere. So you had the two gaggle of geese and the missing lynx.
Ah,
Ah, yeah, yeah. So it was a lot of symbolism within the game that we were playing that I didn't realize at the time. And I'm like, wow, this is really something else, man. So we get to his place, and he gets out the DMT ready, and I tell him about the thing that I wanted to listen to, and I'm like, "You mind if I put it on my phone?" He goes, "Put it on the TV."
hmm,
All right, yeah, yeah, let's put it on the TV. So I smoke the DMT, and it's on the TV, and I close my eyes, and as soon as I close my eyes, it's just everything around me is green, and it's like there's this green cylinder in front of me. It's like, wow. All right, that's cool. So I open my eyes and I'm like, I don't know, man. He goes, you want to see something really trippy? All right, yeah. Turns off the light. Look at the TV. I look at the TV. All of a sudden, these little lines within the drawing on the picture, they're standing out to me like a 3D movie. Guess what they say?
what?
Get the picture. Wait, what? Get the picture. All of a sudden, mind you, I'm in a black room. The only light in this room is coming from the TV. His walls are now white. The floor, the ceiling, everything's white. And on the walls, in green and red letters, I see, get the picture. And all of a sudden I went, oh, this isn't just some, random noise. This is a meditation mantra trying to help people learn how to meditate. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. It gets freakier though. So all of a sudden, as I'm having this realization, now I'm in a 50s diner, all right? And there's this black shadow. It's like my vision goes up, and this giant black shadow comes from the ceiling, and it's got this yellow Christmas present box with red ribbons, and it's just going, "Hold on. We're not done with you yet." Mind you, remember the mushrooms when I said it's like subconscious thought thinking over my conscious thought?
Yep.
This is what was going on here. Again, was subconscious thought went, "Hold on. We're not done with you yet." As I'm basically paralyzed, staring straight forward as like, what is going on? And it's opening and closing the lid of this box. Like, do you really want to see what's inside? Like, do you really want to know what's in here? And looking back now, I should have thought, yes, show me. Um, but I freaked out. I'm not gonna try and be bold or anything. I was terrified. I didn't feel like this entity meant me any harm, but I was having so much trouble wrapping my brain around what was going on that it scared me because I live in reality, Chris. All right, and what's in front of me shouldn't be possible. It defies all freaking logic.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is this as you're describing it? I was like, dude, in that moment, man. I mean, because you're not really there. You're kind of you got all this stuff going on that's taking place. Or like at any moment, you got to control your emotions too.
So I didn't really feel any emotion other than like just stunned. And I told my friend to turn on the light. As soon as he turned on the light, trip was over. Done. Back to normal. Completely cool. Except I was not cool. What I had experienced, Chris, was so powerful that I fell on the ground crying, bawling my eyes out as if my daughter had just been born again. It touched me that deeply.
How was the
Um,
people around you reacting? What was their
um,
experiences?
my buddy Dylan, he said things started to get weird for him. He can't really remember what was going on. He said he was focusing his energy into my trip. So he was trying to focus like his energy towards my trip, and he was trying to help guide me because the person that I had with me is someone that has dabbled with the psychedelics and has been on kind of on the spiritual path that I am now on. um, he's been a hippie longer, so he's learned more. He's learned how to do some weird things. When I tell you, Chris, chakras and energy are real, they are real. Like, I have felt things when your mind is opened, um, and you have people that truly know what they're doing and they're not bullshitting. Things are weird. I was under the influence of LSD, mind you, a lot of it. Um, and I had two friends point their fingers at me, and they focused their chakras on the center of my forehead. And I felt a wave of pressure just pushing right in on my forehead hard. So I mean, the hippie stuff is real. Um, but anyway, back to that experience real quick. So I after I calmed down a little bit, I'm like, all right, I wanna try something different. He goes, okay. I said, I want to go into the room, dark, and try and meditate. All right. So I tried it, and when I did it, my brain screamed at me. My brain was not having it. My brain knew exactly what I was doing. And what I was trying to do, and I've been chasing for a long time, is what's called ego death. And it might be a sin. I don't know to chase it, but what I'm trying to do is God, this is really hard to explain. I am trying to sever my conscious self from the single entity that everyone knows as Allen in order to experience my spiritual
So
self.
you're trying to become
Uh,
the full awareness.
yes, I'm trying to,
I know what you're talking about.
and not permanently, not permanently. I don't. I like experiencing this mortal realm. I just I like experiencing,
You're
and that's
stepping
something
out.
I want.
You're becoming the full
Yeah.
awareness. I got you.
So what's crazy is I had a mushroom experience where it was the same night that I realized that I caused my own problems with my thoughts. Um, but I had been outside before one of my friends showed up, and I got wet because it rained, but I was determined I was going to have a fire. So by the time he got there, the mushrooms were starting to kick in, and I'm like, hey man, let's go inside. Here's some mushrooms. Have at them. I'm going to take a shower, get warmed up, get clean. He's like, all right, no problem. So I go into the bathroom. I get in the shower. I put on some music, and I'm sitting down in the shower, and it feels like every drop of water hitting me is making a new connection, and what's going on here? And all of a sudden, shh, you're only wearing the meat suit. I did not just say that, but I know I just said that. Subconscious thought. And you can take that religiously where Jesus says, I am always with you. Subconscious. Your subconscious is always with you. You just don't know it's there because you're focused on your conscious and what's thinking. Um, you don't tell yourself to breathe, do you, Chris?
I want to. Oh, but before we get too deep into this, just in case the person that's watching this right now, listening, is not fully understanding it, how can you explain it to them so they do?
I'll tell you what, you tell me a part that I need to explain, and I will try to put it in better words. What is something you want me to bring more light to?
Like, let's just go into it. Like, people don't, fully understand the law of attraction, the conscious, the subconscious mind. This is all new to them. So, kind of dig deep a little bit more into that, so they can kind of understand, you know, that someone that doesn't know anything about it.
It's kind of the law of attraction, from what I understand, is the energy that you put out there as far as like your positive thoughts, your positive emotions. If you put out positivity within the world, positivity is going to come towards you. Whereas if you think negative thoughts and are always being a negative Nancy and a pessimist, then negative things are always going to happen. You have to believe, and even Jesus spoke of these things. But you have to put that positive energy out there, believe positive, and think positive in order for positive things to happen to you. In order for positive energies to want to surround themselves with you, you yourself have to be positive. Whereas if you succumb yourself to dark thoughts and dark emotions, you're going to attract dark entities, and they're going to latch themselves onto you, the dark energies, and that's going to get heavy. um the positivity is much more light and love. Positive energy, kindness, and love, that's what you want in this life. Because Chris, if you go out there and you're an asshole to everyone else, no one's really going to want to be around you, and everyone's going to start treating you like an asshole. It's kind of goes back to the golden rule of you treat someone the way you want to be treated. Same thing goes for energy. If positive energy wants to be around positive energy, just like happy people want to be around other happy people. You know, you're not going to see a Satanist and a Catholic priest hanging out together
I
unless
mean,
it's Hollywood.
you never know.
You might. You never know. You never know. Um, but it's still, you know, and as far as subconscious thought goes, um, Jesus preached to us about the power within ourselves. There's a hidden book of Matthew that never made it to the Bible. And Chris, that's if you want me on for another time, we can get into a whole nother
We're gonna
topic.
get really
But
deep into
but
it.
that's the story of the Roman Empire. That is not my story. Um, but the book of Matthew, it says that Jesus was preaching that no, I am not the Son of God. We are all the sons of God. Meaning that Jesus was trying not to be special. Jesus was not special. He just understood who he really was, and he was trying to get that out to us. The way Jesus gets worshipped as an idol nowadays, in Jesus' name we pray, amen. That's not what Jesus wanted. Jesus was trying to teach us all that we have the same power within him. We just have to understand how to access it. And one of those things is through love, kindness, and belief. When Jesus said, if you had but the faith of a mustard seed, you could tell a mountain to move, and it will move. What Jesus meant was you had to believe in your mind and your heart without a shadow of the doubt, full on believe that if I say this is going to happen, it's going to happen. And that's what some people are now calling manifestation. And it's something that Jesus talked about. And that's stuff that I am currently trying to implement in my life. You know, it's so these are tools that I have used to get over my hurt. Um, I had a pure DMT experience once, and this is the last experience I'll really go into. And it's one of the ones that when I'm feeling down, I think back on, and it makes me smile, and it brings me warmth to my heart. Um, I was sitting on my couch, and I took 3 big hits of DMT, and I laid back, and all of a sudden, my body felt like it was made of the same material as the couch. And in my mind, I was, you know, seeing all kinds of colors and everything, and there were these what looked like Sour Patch Kids, and and my thought went, this is the greatest thing we can give you until you die. But we love you. And it's like, you love me. Wow. Wow. And it's like being told by this thing while I'm on this drug that these things love me and I don't even know them, and so I can't help but attach those experiences to my spirituality. And that is something my spirituality is something that I've been seeking to try to help get over my past trauma. And I really, really need to practice meditation because I did a guided meditation. I looked up, his name is Sam Harris, and he's got guided meditations. And I put one on one time, and I said, all right, sober, Chris, sober. Gave this a try before bed, and I'm laying there perfectly still, listening to the voice, doing the breathing, and all of a sudden my body felt weird. Like I can't describe it, but just my body felt really full of tingles. It felt full of warmth, almost as if I was around a lot of energy. And it just it just filled my body and was just tingly. Just really something else to experience. And I'm sure many people that do yoga or meditation, they'll understand what I'm talking about. But for someone that grew up right wing, conservative Christian, didn't believe in all that hippie bullshit, well, I'm finding out that it's not just hippie bullshit. It's something that we've lost touch of within ourselves, and that culturally, I believe it's been purposefully hidden from us. But that is basically my story and how I got to where I am now and who I am now.
All right, as we wrap this thing up, I just want to ask a couple more questions before we say our
Yeah,
goodbyes. As you have experienced this, as you're going into your next journey in life, and then everything that you've gone through, especially, how is life going for you right now?
life honestly is going for me better than ever. I've got a great job with a fantastic schedule. Recently, so there's a period where my baby mom, she made some bad decisions in her life, which I knew things were going on and I tried to warn her. Uh, but she took my daughter and left the state of Ohio to live in Tennessee for about a year. And I said, well, either you're going to come back to Ohio within a year, or I'm going to move down to Tennessee. Thankfully, lately, she came back up to Ohio. She was kind of forced into a situation to where she had to come back. Sucks for her, but she realized that maybe she shouldn't have gone down there in the first place. That was her own admittance. And it gave me my daughter back in my life, which was, I lost a lot of sleep over that. I cried myself to sleep over not being able to pick my daughter up on the weekend and hold her and kiss her. It was very, very difficult having a relationship with her through a screen. Um, and then I got a really good job recently, and my work schedule is 3 days on, 3 days off. So I've got more time now than ever. I make really good money compared to what I've ever made. I've got more time than ever with my kid. So life is life's looking up for me. It's a roller coaster. It's got its ups and it's got its downs, but you know what? I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying the ride because like I said earlier in the podcast, whether you are experiencing good things or bad things, you are still experiencing something. And that's a blessing because the only other thing is not experiencing anything at all. And that means you don't exist. So as long as I'm experiencing something, I still exist. So hey, I'm happy.
That's a good day. That's a good
Yeah,
day.
you know?
So, tapping into the next question, how is your relationship with your daughter compared to how your father's relationship was with you?
My daughter is my best friend in the world. She loves me. She 9 times out of 10 would rather be with me than her mom. Like that little girl and me, we're best friends. She clings to me. She loves her daddy. I love her very, very much. I very protective of her. I've spanked her maybe once or twice her entire life, and she's 4. Like I don't see the need for it. I treat her very good. I do things with her. I I try to be very loving with her. I try and show her because losing my brother showed me that you never know when someone's no longer going to be here. Like legitimate Chris, and I hopefully this doesn't happen. I'm not trying to speak it into existence, but this could be the last anyone ever sees of me. I could walk out that door and something happened to me, and you were the last person I talked to. So with my daughter, I try to make sure every moment and every day she knows that she was loved by me. Whether something happens to her or something happens to me, I want her to know that she was loved.
Well said. Well said. And now, as I'm pretty sure anybody that's listening or even watching to this point, they want to know, when are you going to publish that book?
Uh, it's gonna be a while, but yes, I've thought about writing a book going really into detail about the stuff that I've done and been through, and you know, I'm no expert on anything. I'm just a guy living life. But like I said, my biggest advice, move forward. Don't get stuck in the past. If you got to talk about it, talk about it. There's no shame in it. I've cried several times on this podcast. There's no shame in crying. There's no shame in talking about it. Actually, the reason I wanted to come on this podcast was not necessarily to get my story out, but to have someone to talk to, someone that wanted to listen, and someone that wanted to hear, and that meant a lot to me, Chris. It really did, because sometimes that's just all I need. Someone to hear the stuff that I've been through, and to understand that I'm not perfect. I've had it hard. I'm doing the best I can. I've had to basically raise myself since I was 10 years old. My dad didn't teach me how to go from being a kid to a teen. My mom didn't teach me how to go from being a teen to being an adult. I had to teach myself. Um, so just live in the present. Remember your past. If you need to talk about your past, talk about it. But don't let it control your life. Because if your past is driving your life, it's not going to lead you to a future. And and it's not going to be one that you're going to enjoy.
as as I'm all choked up over here. I just want to say what an honor it was to have you on and just to hear. I mean, I know it was probably tough just getting it out at times, just to be able to speak about your story. But really, I speak. I'd like to say, just looking at you, man, it's incredible. Just everything that you've gone through. I would have never, never imagined that in my life. But to see you sitting
Oh,
there, a tough man, raising your kid, she's your best friend, and just enjoying life and the spiritual journey that you're on right now and you continue to stay on. I just want you to put your
it,
hand over your heart right now, man. You feel that inside you?
yep.
It's greatness, man.
Oh yeah.
Don't be
You
afraid to
know.
show it off.
And my last message to everyone, like Chris, I love you, man. And loving someone is different than being in love. And I love all of humanity. Every single soul watching this and every soul not watching this. I love all of you and I care about all of you.
All right, as we wrap it up now, if anybody wants to reach out to you, is there any way to get a hold of you?
Um they can message me on Facebook. Allen Pollack, ALLENPOLLACK. Look me up, send me a message. Probably not gonna accept all your friend requests because I'm a comedian and I post some adult humor, but am here to talk. My phone's always on. I'm more than willing to talk to people. I love meeting new people. So if anyone out there in the world, especially love meeting people around the world. That's one of my favorite things. I've got several friends around the world. I, please, if you want to talk to me about something you're having a hard time, I'm here. I love all of you. I'll give you my time. If that's the least I can do for you, I will give you my time.
What better way to end a podcast? Everyone that's still watching and listening, I thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.
All right, Chris. See you, brother. You have a
See you,
blessed